Hello, welcome to another episode of the Mindful Introvert podcast. This is a podcast where you can get inspired and have a better understanding of your unconscious programs that run your life without you realizing. And by bringing them to light, you can heal and grow into an aligned and fulfilling life. I'm Joe from mindfulintrovert.com, an inner peace and abundance coach, and my purpose is to help you slow down, look inwards, and create a more peaceful life by learning to trust your intuition and exploring your spirituality at a soul level. And if you are fully committed to your growth, I have a special gift for you. Simply stay until the end to learn how you can have your very own free inner peace and abundance hypnosis delivered to your inbox and start reaping the benefits of a relaxed and peaceful life. For now, let's get on with the episode. Hello, we have today here with us a very special guest. We have Nancy. She is the human behind the Bee and the Baroness. She is a yin yoga instructor and mindfulness coach, and she helps people to learn how to purposefully be present in their minds, bodies, and souls so that they can show up fully from moment to moment. She holds a bachelor's degree in behavioral psychology, and she's currently working on her master's in counseling psychology. And just understanding how our minds perceive reality is one of her greatest passions. And especially if we sprinkle a little spirituality in there, which I love as well. And she says that she loves a good deep dive into one's perspective and experiences. Who doesn't? And she has a particular affinity for intimacy, relationships, and inner child work. She's a cat mom and she is an amateur rock collector. Basically, she sees rocks and she takes them home. I do the exact same thing. Ah, okay, so today, just join us for a very, very interesting talk about being selfish, self care, and a lot of the ego and the inner work that it takes to actually have inner peace. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and let's get on with it. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode. And today I have a very special guest. I have Nancy with me. And Nancy is my fellow colleague on the Manifestation Babe Academy. We're doing this course together. And I just fell in love with her story and just her journey so far. And I wanted to have her come here on the podcast and share a lot of her knowledge and her experience and wisdom with everyone here. So, Nancy, thank you so much for being here, for being a part of the podcast. I really grateful that you decided to say yes. And would you like to say a little bit more about you, about introduce to everyone? What is it that makes you happy in life and whatnot?
For sure. Well, thank you for having me. Before I forget, because once I start talking, it'll go away. So yes, thank you for putting that offer out to have a conversation and just meet as two humans. It's one of my favorite things to do. But yes, my name is Nancy. I am the human behind the Bee and the Baroness, which is kind of my collective community that I've been building over the last few months. I'm a yin yoga instructor and mindfulness coach. So, my main goal is to help people learn how to be present in the moment, mind, body, and spirit in whatever capacity that means for them. There's no particular requirements to be able to connect fully in the present moment other than what that means to each person so that they can actually live their life and not spend time and again working towards something that isn't here yet without fully enjoying what they already have in the moment. So, I have a background in behavioral psychology, and I'm currently doing my master's in counseling psychology. So, learning how the brain works, how we perceive our reality around us, and how that then informs our thoughts and emotions, and then subsequently our behaviors is absolutely fascinating to me. I go into so many spirals of like, well, what does this mean? How do we appoint meaning to things? And how did we get to this conclusion? So, yeah, mindfulness is really what brought me that passion when I was doing my undergrad, to, to push through that fear of the unknown and being a beginner. Mindfulness is really that what brings me that great joy.
Yes, yes. I love the description that you said because it is exactly that. Mindfulness is to for everyone, everyone can practice it. And one of the attitudes of mindfulness is in fact beginner's mind, isn't it? So the fact that some people have this fear of being beginner, well, that's the beauty of life, isn't it? It's just exploring with this brand new inspiration and this energy of just trying out.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
so, how did you get started in this personal development journey, even before you did your with your bachelors and all of that? What made you inspired to go down this path?
I feel like I've always been in a helping position with people. I was typically the person that others would gravitate towards when they needed a listening ear or they needed some sort of guidance or even just somebody to sit with. Um, and I thought, well, if this is just happening, like, what if I leaned into that? What if I figured out more about what goes into that and how I can be more effective as a helper and a facilitator of space? So I think it was kind of a natural state that I was just in, and I needed to allow myself to explore. And what you had said about being a beginner reminded me of a conversation I had with a friend recently about being a baby. And it seems counterintuitive when you're like, but I'm an adult, like I have an adult consciousness. But when you're adopting a mindfulness mindset, you are adopting the mindset of a child in a way, because a child does not feel shame for not knowing something or for
Mm,
having an emotion or a thought. They're just in that moment, they're feeling it, they're experiencing what it's like to be human. And as we grow up, we start to learn how to shove that down and put it in a pretty package to make other people comfortable.
mm,
And in
yeah.
doing that, we end up losing that childlike nature, that passion, that spark for life ends up in a box in the corner that we forget about.
Yeah,
Right. So really
absolutely.
sitting down into that baby attitude of it, of like, no, I'm a baby human. Like I might
Yes, we all
be
are.
an adult. I'm a baby human. I don't have all the answers and I don't have to feel shame for not having them.
Yes. And that has been this week, I've been experiencing a pattern in my life, a pattern in also my clients, because it's funny because my clients sometimes come to me with struggles that sometimes I'm also struggling, or I've struggled last week and I overcome it and I coped with it and learned from it. And so it was basically the idea that we don't want to for we don't want to be perceived as this being that is still learning, like you're saying. And we want to be perceived as someone who has all the answers, who has their life figured out, who has a nice job, a nice career, a nice relationship, a nice house, and all of these standards that society puts to in this just pressuring in ourselves. And it doesn't allow us to really show up fully for exactly who we are or who we desire to be. And it's just this mask that we are putting up, and that is not allowing us to be vulnerable, is not allowing us to be human, right? um, what is your experience with putting down the mask and showing your full self?
Oh, it is terrifying. Wow. It is. So before we started recording, right, when you had said like, oh, there's that bit of nervousness every time before I hit record, I feel that every single time I open up to someone. And
Mm,
every time I allow myself to be seen in a state of humanity as a mess, as someone who doesn't have themselves together, when I take that illusion, because that's what it is, what we've learned of this perfect life and our conception of success is completely an illusion. When
mm,
that shatters, it's devastating because suddenly you're left with shambles all around you that you don't know how to make sense of. And the way that you've been identifying yourself is no longer relevant. So
Yeah.
all you have in that moment is the vulnerability of saying, I don't know. Saying I don't know to me is one of the most vulnerable statements that you can say to someone, because you're not pretending to have everything figured out. You're accepting
Mm.
that in this moment, I just don't know. And going through that with my friends, I'm so grateful for them. They are incredibly patient and open-minded, that they just let me be a mess. They're like, you know what? Like, that's just you. That's just how you're experiencing life. That's how you're interacting with the world. And it's helped me see, like, if you're going to have a deep connection with yourself and the people around you and just the world in general, that all starts in a state of vulnerability.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. And I think we need to normalize being vulnerable, because being vulnerable doesn't mean being unsafe. It can be, it can mean, but not necessarily. And it's just to bring that safety aspect into our being and into our reality. I think it will help a lot for people to open up and to just connect further with and deeper with people. What would you say?
Yeah, that normalization and that feeling of safety that you mentioned, really brought forward the ego for me. And I,
Mm.
I feel like I have a bit of a controversial opinion on the ego.
Okay.
The popular conversation around it right now that I'm seeing is that it's something to be destroyed, it's
Mm.
something to be killed, it's something to be ashamed that we have. But when you look at psychology, the ego is actually your alarm system. It's what tells
Mm.
you feels unsafe. And our perception of safety is built on survival mode in a base sense of humanity. But there's also a social element to it, right? Our ego is trained by the social influences that we are exposed to. So if we learn that socially it's not safe for me to reach out and be vulnerable in this state and to let people see me this way, you're going to train your ego to fear vulnerability. But if you're
Yeah.
met with compassion and understanding over a repeated exposure, it doesn't happen just once or twice, but if you can repeatedly expose yourself and your ego to vulnerability in a safe context, you can learn that being vulnerable is safe, being human is safe. You don't have to wear the mask to be safe. It's not something you need to hide behind. It's
Yeah.
something that you can just allow yourself to experience, because at the end of the day, the ego's ultimate job is to keep you safe. It cares about you so much that it's like, no, we can't do this because I don't want you to feel pain. I don't want you to feel uncomfortable or upset or whatever negative emotions we've associated with a particular experience. It just wants you to feel safe and secure, right? So
Yeah.
this, I try to love on the ego. It's hard sometimes because I don't always agree with what the ego is feeling scared of, but it's something that really needs more compassion and empathy than it does judgment.
Yes, I agree. And I've discovered this that you're saying now, I've discovered last year. And people that follow the show, they know that I have a name for my ego, and her name is Georgina. And when she's acting up, I just say, Georgina, not now. This is not the moment. But sometimes I say, not now. But other times I say, you know what? I'm here for you. I'm here to hold your hand. I'm here to listen to you. Just share your struggles with me and we'll work through them together. And it's just holding hands and just bringing that safety back and just acknowledging the ego as something that it is. And that is where mindfulness comes in play as well, isn't it? For us to not judge the ego and see it for as it is.
Mhm. 100%. I completely agree with that. And I really loved what you said about holding hands with the ego and comforting it, because when I feel my ego start to try to get my attention, I try to imagine that it's my child. Like, my ego and my inner child are the same being to me. Um, and being able to stop for a second and say, whoa, the things that I'm saying to my ego right now, I would never say to a human child.
Yeah.
And this ego is me as a child within me. That never stops. Just because you grow up doesn't mean that that sense of childlike existence goes away. Right? So really learning to sit down and have that conversation and say, you know what, as you said, like, I'm here for you, let me listen to you, and then reassuring it like there's nothing to be scared of. Thank you for your concerns, thank you for showing me that you feel unsafe or that you're scared right now. Here's what we can do to work through it together.
Yeah.
Right? And it really, one, creates a new narrative that you can share with other people, because the way that you talk to yourself is going to reflect in the way that you talk to others, but also you're creating a new relationship with yourself. And if we're looking at any principle of manifestation or any energetic principle, you call in what you are and what you're experiencing. So if your entire foundation is built on a sense of empathy, compassion, and trust that you're safe, then what you're calling in is going to be in alignment with that.
Yeah.
And any situation that isn't that, you're going to know how to handle it with grace for yourself and for others.
Oh, I love that. That was wonderful. And I would even add that in order for us to do this is bringing that awareness. So now the first step in people's that are listening lives. Oh my God, I just screwed that up, didn't I? People's lives that are listening to this episode.
We got there.
We got there. It's slow, but it's the end of the day for me. So
Yeah, I
um,
forget about the time difference.
yeah, yeah. What I wanted to say is that people that are listening now, they have this awareness that the ego is something that is neither good nor bad. It's just what it is. It's just an inner portion of us that is our inner child, and we need to love, and we can choose to hug and be there for them. But I would also say that it comes with noticing your patterns. And my boyfriend did a discovery this week that was very important for him, at least. I think I knew, because people already have these patterns that they don't understand and they are not aware that procrastination for me is a big thing. Where I feel unsafe or when I feel uncomfortable, I procrastinate. Or when something bad, quote unquote, bad happens or not, doesn't go as I wanted it to go, I get in this protection mode. And this protection mode for me is sitting on the sofa and wrapped around with my blanket, my fuzzy blanket. And that is me protecting myself, protecting my energy. But to the naked eye, it seems like I am procrastinating and I am just right. But no, it's just my protection mechanism. And he realized, because he's very smart, he started to add on patterns and add on to situations that have been happening where I felt sad, and then next to it I was going on the sofa. And so he started to say, oh, I realized your pattern. I realized that when something bad happens, you go and you protect yourself with a blanket. Yes, I do that. And it's something that sometimes we are not even aware. And at that time I could say, Georgina, I'm here for you. We got this. We can go over whatever it is that is happening. We can feel good again. We can feel safe again. And mind you, I do this summer, winter, anytime I have my blanket.
I love it.
So it's not because I'm cold.
Yeah.
And I know that a lot of people have their own mechanisms and they are not aware of them. So my message after this whole tangent is start to pay attention to your actions, start to pay attention to your thoughts and the things that you're doing, your behaviors that basically are just a translation of the thoughts running through your mind that are creating those emotions. And so it's this whole cycle that we can bring to the awareness, and use a lot of mindfulness, because it is being present in the present moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how would you say that mindfulness just plays this role in the ego work and the inner child work?
Hmm, that was a really good question. Um, I definitely think it falls into the pattern recognition,
Mm.
right? That subconscious behavior pattern, thought pattern, emotion pattern that we might find ourselves in. That's like the ongoing script that the ego or the inner child is running. Those are the words that it has come to understand to express what it's feeling. And when you can stop and not change anything, that's the biggest thing with mindfulness, is that you're not engaging with mindfulness to change any outcome. You are engaging in mindfulness to stop the chatter around you and check in for a second. It's a selfish act in a way. It is all about you. It has nothing else. It has nothing to do with anybody else in that moment. Um, and seeing that, as you said, like your boyfriend picked up on that pattern of, oh, well, when you do this, you comfort yourself with this. It kind of ties into that vulnerability as well previously, that if we can engage in these moments of mindfulness with ourselves, that present presence, as you said, or showing up in purpose, on purpose, as one of my other friends says, we show other people that it's safe for them to do that too, right? So in that moment, it might feel selfish, but ultimately, you are benefiting everybody around you because now you're aware of the pattern. You can sit with the cycle and say, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling angry. And just naming it and accepting what it is takes the pressure off of you to figure it out, but to also change it in that moment. Like, just let yourself be sad. You don't have to be happy all the time. And it reminds me of this TED talk that I watched last week. I went into a spiral. So for me, part of what helps me feel balanced sometimes is like turning on YouTube and just letting it run in the
Mhm.
background. I ended up in a TED talk spiral while I was crocheting. 100% a grandmother in training over here.
Amazing.
I watched this one called The Cult of Happiness. I'd have to look up the woman's name again. I can't remember it right now, but she talked about how we've been led to believe, again, an illusion, that happiness, this extreme state, is our natural state.
Mm.
And that's just not true. It is so completely unsustainable in any area of your life because it's such a high that if you were always functioning at that, nothing would be in balance, right? Your lows would be absolutely extreme. They would take you out completely, and neutrality would feel like depression,
Mm.
right? So letting go of that expectation, right? Mindfulness is also about letting go of expectation that the situation is anything other than what it is right now in this moment, frees you of that pressure to have it all together, to continue building that illusion. Kind of like taking a breather from it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. And I completely agree with everything you said. And I have this client that she says, I feel like I should be doing more. And what I tell her is, okay, do less.
Yeah.
Do less because sometimes when we have this pressure, we need to do the exact opposite and just recharge, because it just means that we're getting drained by everything and we're giving away our power. And we need to recharge, and that charge comes from within. We can create that source of energy. um, how do you create your source of energy, your very own source of energy?
It's the stopping. As you were talking, I heard I'm scared to be still.
Mm.
It was this terror of, if I stop, the world is going to move on without me. And I had another friend refer to that as the fear of missing out. That
Yes.
if I don't keep going, if I don't stop and check in with myself and take care of myself, then I'm going to be behind. But ultimately, what ends up happening is you're draining yourself to the point that when you do stop, it's not going to be by choice, and you're not going to be able to control how long that break needs to be. But if you
Yeah.
can regularly step back again and allow yourself to rest and recharge, then you're going to be able to show up and, I want to say, like, be more present, but also more efficient in your presence, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, for me personally, it's turning everything off, turning the messages, the messenger off, not answering anything, phone calls, emails, nothing. I try at least once a week, sometimes twice a week if I'm feeling real spicy, that I don't do any schoolwork at all.
Mm,
And although everybody else in my course seems to be online every day and they're posting and chatting and all of this, I just can't do it. I can't synthesize that information that we're taking in without living my life outside of that one identity. Because if
yeah.
you're putting all of your energy into one aspect of your being, then suddenly you're leaving every other part of yourself depleted by trying to push into this one role.
Yeah.
So really taking that step back. I've been watching Shrek so much the last couple weeks. It's like one of my emotional support movies, except the third one. We don't really talk about the third one. It's just shouldn't be a movie, but just allowing yourself to be a kid
Yeah.
again, right? As you said, like caring for yourself with that fuzzy blanket. I remember being a kid, and when we'd get upset, my mom would turn on cartoons and we could just hang out and have a snack. And, you don't have to do anything. You don't have
Yeah.
to be anywhere. You don't have to be anyone. You just have to be. And honestly, that is the hardest thing that I've
Yeah.
ever learned how to do is to stop and be like, even if the world did go on without me, I'm okay with that.
Mm, yeah. Because your energy, even if the world did go on without you, your energy is just there, is not going anywhere. And
Yeah.
so your presence, your soul is not ending ever. So there's no way that you'll cease to exist. And I would
And
even say, with that whole idea of slowing down, I was very afraid of it as well, because I'm a very much driven person, go getter, and very ambitious. I want to do more and more and more. I moved countries. I'm just pursuing this career that I'm not too passionate about, but we're still doing it because it pays the bills.
yeah, we've all been there.
But yeah, just pursuing this career and then doing all of these things. And then at the end of the day, you think, okay, what have I done to make myself proud? And when I answer those questions, the simplest things come to mind. It's not the profession that I have, it's not all of the accomplishments that I have in my life. It's just my having a swimming makes me proud. I don't know, just makes me happy, just makes me present. And it's simple, isn't it? I didn't have to take a degree to know how to swim.
Oh,
And it's just the simplest things ever that make me 100% happy. And I even had to schedule, like you're saying, sometimes if we take smaller breaks, it's better, because then it was just burning out. And I was very close to burnout last year, and I had to actually schedule my resting time. And every week, I take my long hot bath with my. I do everything. My hair mask. I have bath bomb. I do every single thing in that bath, and I had to schedule it, because if I just decided, oh, I'll have one every week, but then at the day that it came, I would say, oh, you know what? No, not today. I'll waste a lot of water. I'll waste these products. And no, not today. It's just too much of a hassle. But I cannot not do it, because I know the benefit that it brings me, the
yeah.
feeling that I feel afterwards, the expansive mind that I have when I. And it got to a point where I needed to have my phone next to me so I could record voice messages, because I just have these insights and it's just massive. And so I needed to risk to schedule it, and I needed to block my time so that I know that this day is my bath day.
It
And this is
sounds like you have pampering as a priority, and I love that. I love
Yes, and it
that so much.
and I would like to revisit another thing that you said, that it is selfish. It's not selfish. It's quite the opposite,
Mhm.
because if we continue to believe to be selfish, because we live in this society that we need to give everything away. But in order for us to have something for us, we cannot give everything away, because we're not having anything for us. And then who, if everyone is giving everyone away, it's just no, it's not working. So we need to prioritize ourselves, and I believe that not prioritizing ourselves is the selfish bit, because the other people will just consume off of us, and at some point we will be so exhausted that there will be nothing left, not for ourselves, not for anyone else. And then, no, I think it's better to fill your cup first. When it's overflowing, crazy, crazy overflowing, you start sharing with others. And that's how you get to this point where you get to be this source of energy, where you're just this ray of sunshine to people, and you're attracting people into your life, you're attracting opportunities. And that really links in with what you were saying, that your thoughts really attract your reality, isn't it? And this whole manifestation thing. And how has manifestation worked in your life with this mindfulness and this work that you've been doing with ego and inner child?
Mhm. There were a couple things that I wanted to touch on before we move to the next
Yeah,
question.
sure.
As you were talking, my brain was like, "Oh my God, yes!" Okay, so the first thing was that it's fascinating to me the meaning we attribute to language,
Mm.
and the connotation behind the words that you use. And when I think about being selfish, it makes me happy in a way, because
Okay.
as you said, it's making yourself a priority. It's choosing that even though other people might misunderstand this and might label you a certain way, you know what that means to you. You know how important that is to you, and you're choosing to be misunderstood for the sake of being safe and protected,
Yeah.
which that was a really big realization for me of allowing myself to be misunderstood by other people, that I might let people down, I might disappoint them, I might not meet their expectations by taking care of myself, but at the end of the day I don't care about any of that. I care about me,
Yeah.
right? And that is what's seen in the negative sense as selfish act,
Okay.
but it's one of the most self-loving and self-caring things that I think we can do for ourselves and other people, because again, what other people see us do, they're going to emulate, because we are social creatures. We learn from everybody that we're interacting with.
Yeah.
And the other part that had come forward was how we complicate things and the
Mm.
pressure we put on ourselves, specifically with time. Like that is very much a human construct to help us understand and feel structured in a routine. But when you look at energy, it's not subject to the rules of time, right? If you're manifesting something, you could be like, well, I want it by next Thursday. And the universe is going to be like, okay, well, in your time, it's not going to be ready till 5 Thursdays from now. But in that energetic sense, it already is, right? There's no past, future, present moment outside of anything. It just is. As soon as you think it, as soon as you feel it, that's what your reality is in that moment. And the pressure comes with releasing it, but also maintaining that interaction with it, of knowing that it's coming to you, of knowing that, well, I'm in alignment with this, I'm an energetic match to this. So you're releasing that pressure of having to do that masculine energy that we talk about, and really stepping back and holding space for the feminine to come in, which we all have masculine and feminine
Mm.
energy. This does not have anything to do with gender identity or expression. It's just a basic energetic principle that we have do energy and we have rest and create energy, and they work together, right? You can embody both at the same time, but stepping back, holding space for that feminine, creating an environment where she can thrive is what is also going to allow the masculine to thrive, because she's what's overflowing into his cup, right? And when you talked about swimming as being this like carefree thing, I also love swimming. Like I've spent an entire day in the water before, and when I got out after 7 hours, my legs forgot how to deal with gravity. and I could like I couldn't walk to our towel.
You turned to a mermaid.
Pretty much, I was like, man, I understand how Ariel felt now. Like, I get why she was confused. Um, but looking at that, like, that brings us back to our state of the ultimate child when you're in the womb,
Mm,
before you are exposed to any pressures or expectations of the world. You're just free floating. You're having a great time. You're manifesting literally every single thing that you want. I'm hungry, mom's got it. I'm thirsty, mom's got it. I'm tired, I'm good. Like, everything is provided to you in that state, and you don't have to do anything. But as soon as we're born, we forget that because suddenly we're expected to do all the time instead of be.
mm,
Like, what if being is the thing we came here to do?
yeah. Yeah, I think it is. I
These are
think it is.
when you talked about having the voice notes, I was like, man, I feel very seen right now because I talk to myself constantly, specifically in the car. I always have these like grand life realizations when I'm driving. I'm like, man, I can't write this down right now. But it's just allowing yourself to be in that free flowing energy and allowing that stillness to speak to you.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
answer is always there. We're just so busy with everything around us that we can't hear it.
And sometimes we are afraid, wouldn't you say? Because, like you said, that you had this fear of being in the silence. And I've seen a lot of people, and myself included, I had this fear of realizing and getting the evidence that I am not good enough. I am not all this that I think and that I want to be.
Mhm.
There are evidence that show me that it's just I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I'm not this, I'm not that, but again, this is just the ego. And once you really pay attention and you go down to what's really important, past this, okay, so why are you not worthy? What makes you think that? Oh, because this and this and that. Oh, and then we explore a little bit more, we realize that this is just fear, and it's just our ego wanting to be seen. So yeah.
Absolutely. The way that the brain compartmentalizes information as well. Like, we are exposed to an absurd amount of stimuli in a day
Yeah.
through all of our senses. And the brain has to make a quick judgment of, where do I put this? What box do I put this in? And if your boxes are all labeled with, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm lazy, I'm, all of these things, all these lies that we tell ourselves based on other people's misunderstandings, right? It's these expectations from other people that we've learned to identify with.
Yeah.
That's what your brain is going to put everything into, and that's what it's going to be looking out for, because we're creatures of habit, we're creatures of routine. We're always looking for patterns and repeating cycles, as you said, right? So learning to, it's almost like hijacking that system for a second and
Yeah.
doing a bit of an edit that, well, wait a sec, as you said, like, why do I believe this? Going back through it, backtracking of it, is this actually mine? Or is this something that I picked up and put in my box because I thought it was mine? Do I want it to even still be in my box? Do I even want this box?
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes those boxes are labeled even before we go there and labeled. It was a lousy assistant that just went there and labeled everything wrong. So,
Hopefully that assistant has worked on their organization skills. I
so
think that's where mindfulness comes in, right? Like, mindfulness is the new trainer that
yeah,
comes in to teach that assistant, it doesn't have to be this way. You don't have to conform to all of that. You don't have to hold these boxes. You don't have to label anything like that. You can just be here.
yeah, yeah. That's massive, massive. And I love that analogy. So thank you so much. Everyone can label whatever they want to, however they want to. But I would say choose the labels that will make you go closer to your higher self and just embody that successful version of yourself, not the one that brings you down and burns you out. Yeah.
Interesting with that higher self version. I was actually speaking with another MBA member today, um, and we were talking about what actually is the higher self.
Mm.
right? Because we have it as this identity that we are not currently. And I think that's slightly misguided from my
Hmm.
perception. The way that I see our higher self, if we're saying that it's devoid of any of these heavy energies that we're talking about, those labels, those experiences that are not who we are, then wouldn't our higher self be our natural state, right? We don't have to be that. We don't have to do anything to be that, because that's just who we are. The
Yeah.
whole process of becoming, I say this with air quotes for anybody listening to the audio, not the video portion, um, becoming that is really just remembering that all the clutter and noise is not you,
Hmm.
that that's learned, that's an aspect that you can release, and that in every single moment you already are your higher self. You just have to remember that.
Yeah,
And mindfulness helps you remember. It helps
definitely.
you see that all of this is me, just like all of this is you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yes,
again,
I
it
love
takes
that.
off that pressure, right?
Yes, yes, because we already have and we already are this higher self. Because if we wouldn't be, we wouldn't have the reference for wanting to be even more of the things that we already are. In the
Mhm.
sense that, oh, I want to be confident. Okay, so if you have a reference for confident, it means that you somehow, somewhere in your life, have been confident. And so that means that you are confident. So that means that you can be even more confident.
Yep. You just have to find the box, right? You got to go through the
Yeah,
filing
just
system.
tap into that higher self that is labeled confidence, and
Yeah.
you can get a little bit more of that.
What if we make the higher self the assistant? What if they were the
Yes,
ones doing
I
all the
think,
tasks?
it's funny that you say that because to me, Georgina was the assistant. And in the MBA, we have this question further on: what's the name of your higher self? And I started to think that, what, Georgina is starting to answer to my higher self portion of myself. So I think Georgina, my assistant, is becoming the CEO, is becoming Georgina, the CEO. So she's running the show most of the times. So yeah, it's interesting.
I love that. I don't know if I've ever given a name to mine. I feel like it just is.
Yeah,
Oh
but to
no,
me it
yeah,
was easier because when I first started, I was had this very negative mindset, and I was just very negative towards myself. So it really helped to create almost this other person, this friend, because like you said, you would never talk like that to a child. So I would never talk like that to my best friend, for instance. And so if I thought of her as my best friend, I would never talk to her that way.
yeah,
And so she allowed me to say that I loved myself because I struggled to say I love myself. It was something that my brain was not having it. And
yeah,
so she helped me because I was able to say, Georgina, I love you. And then she loved me back. And so somehow I integrated that I love me, you know.
oh,
So
that's so beautiful.
yeah, it's how it's working.
I really, really love that. Yeah. Also, that just like it totally took me like heart center, everything just went whew, when you said like I've never been able to say I love me.
Mm,
And it reminded me of an exercise that I ran through. I used to work at a rehab center for drugs and alcohol when I was in university. I did my placement there, and I had them run through an exercise of like list off as many things as you can that you love. And a lot of them were like, my wife, my kids, my job, my house, my all these things. Not a single one of them said myself.
mm.
And when I said that, I have never heard such silence from 30 men in my entire life. You could have heard a pin drop 2 floors away. Um, and it's so telling because we don't have that conversation with ourselves. We don't nurture that relationship. We live a life of service to others, but forget that we are first of service to ourselves,
Yeah.
that we are the ones we spend the entirety of our life with. Everybody else comes and goes in some capacity. we are the only ones that are here for every single waking moment.
Yeah.
And it's incredibly sad to me that some people don't have that relationship, that they're going through life with a stranger almost.
Yeah. 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 Yet. They don't have
Yeah.
yet.
Yes, yes, that's a great add-on. You're right. They don't
Yes.
have that
Yes. Yes.
yet.
Yes. That was a lovely, lovely, lovely conversation. I really enjoyed having you here. Would you like to share how can people connect with you on social media? Anything that any project that you're working on that you'd like to tell people?
Okay, so all of my social media handles are the same for simplicity because otherwise I will also forget them. So I can be found at the Bee and the Baroness. So that's Bee, like the little buzz bee, BEE, and the Baroness for Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. My website is also the same thing, thebeeandthebaroness.com. There's a little bit more of a bio about me. You can see some cute pictures of my cat who was here at the beginning of
Yeah.
the podcast. She was walking in front, but now she's actually sleeping. That's very cute. Um, yeah, so my website has a little bit more information about that and any other yoga and coaching offers that I have. Um, but the exciting thing that is very new right now is a support group that I will be running. Ideally, I'm looking for 4 to 6 individuals that would like to sit down. We can meet weekly or bi weekly, it's really dependent on the group dynamic, and do an emotional check in and start to learn about what mindfulness looks like for each of us, and kind of run like a bit of an experiment with ourselves of like, okay, what happens when I stop and check in? What
Mm.
happens when I identify what I'm feeling and how that makes me think and behave in my life? So those details, if you're interested, you can go to the contact us page on my website and just send me an email from there, and that'll just get us in contact. Um, there was another thing I had in the back of my head. Oh yes. So the one exception to my handles is the podcast, which is the Baroness and me. So it's a bit of a different perspective from that one. We kind of tap into the ego mindset a little bit more and see what being with her is like. So that one is the Bee and the Baroness, and that's at anywhere you can listen to podcasts, I believe. I mostly look for it on Spotify personally, but there's a video portion on YouTube as well. Um,
Yes, I will leave everything in the show notes. So if this was difficult to follow,
yeah,
go
sorry,
to
it's a lot.
the. No, no, it was quite easy because you have all of the handles the same. So that's
Yeah.
very smart. But if people want to have a direct link,
Mhm.
they can go to the show notes and I'll have everything listed. Nancy, it was a pleasure to have you here, sharing all of your wisdom, sharing the importance of language, the importance of being in the silence and just connecting with ourselves, being selfish. Now we have this word reframed.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And I really enjoyed talking to you. Would you like to do maybe a summary of the key points that we've discussed?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I wrote things down because as soon as it comes into my brain, it exits out sometimes. Really, the main facet of mindfulness that we're looking at cultivating is a present awareness. It's not about fixing, it's not about identifying a problem. It has nothing to do with that. It's sitting down and saying, what am I feeling right now? Is there an emotion? Is there a physical sensation? Is there a thought that's coming up? And just allowing yourself to feel that, not trying to change it, not judging it for being there, not shaming it, just a simple statement of, I am blank, fill it in with whatever you're feeling. And I think you'll find the more you start to do that, although there might be fear, although there might be hesitation, it will get a little bit easier. And that muscle that you're working, it's just like working out with the body, right? You don't do one push up and then suddenly you can do 100 of them. Right? You got
Yeah.
to work up to that. Mindfulness is very much the same thing, that you're teaching yourself it is okay to check in with myself, to be selfish, to take care of myself, and seeing that when you do that, everybody benefits from it because you are now setting the new standard for everybody else. You are now setting the new example of what self-care looks like, of what being present looks like, and allowing yourself to experience everything in life, right? It's not just about the highs and it's not just about the lows. Like, there's such a state of peace found in neutrality,
Yeah.
of not having any expectation, of not having any pressure, and just simply existing in that moment is an element of freedom that no external source can ever give to you, but also no external source can ever take away from you, right?
Yeah.
That is something that is just yours to be forever, which is incredible. So yeah, I'd like to, I guess, issue a challenge to commit to yourself, to commit to try, even if it's just for 30 seconds to check in. That's really how I started. It wasn't like this big fancy, I'm going to spend an hour being mindful. It was just a moment of, oh, what am I feeling right now?
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you so much for holding space for this conversation. I was so looking forward to it, and it's just so enlightening and welcoming to be encouraged and engaged with on a platform that is really just trying to help other people find some sense of balance. And you're doing such amazing work. I'm so happy that we met in the program.
Yeah, thank you so much. No, it's people like you that make me want to continue and inspire me. And everything that you said, all of the reframes that you did, all of your knowledge and your wisdom, it was just so, so good to have you here. So thank you so much. You're welcome to come back anytime.
Be happy to. Thanks. We'll run a little experiment. Come back in some time.
Yes, yes, definitely. Oh my God, can you imagine 1 year from now how much different we're going to be?
Oh my gosh, I know. I can't even compartmentalize that. It's just so far out there that I'm like, I have no idea. I have no idea, but I'm looking forward to being surprised.
Yes. Yes, it's going to be good. The best is yet to come. Okay, Nancy, thank you so much again for being here. And for everyone listening, I will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
If you got to this point and want to know how you can get your free inner peace and abundance hypnosis, simply go onto iTunes and leave a review on the podcast. Take a screenshot of your review before you click send and email that screenshot to contact@mindfulintrovert.com, and I will send it to you so that you can start enjoying a more peaceful and abundant life. For more inspired content, follow me on Instagram at Coach Joanna Calado. And if you're looking to work with me one-on-one, you can reach me on Instagram as well, or you can send me a voice message here on the podcast. I will leave everything in the show notes so that you don't miss a thing. And I will see you on the next episode. And until then, slow down and trust yourself. Bye.